importantly, we heard from, as the president is briefed on new military options, Natasha, it's great to see you. We heard from the supreme leader who refers to advanced technologies, including nuclear and missile capacities, will be protected as their national capital, just as maritime, land, and air borders. Are we going back to war?
It would seem to be. I mean, this isn't really a negotiating posture saying that U.S. vessels will be at the bottom of the Strait of Hormuz and nowhere else. I think that Iran can endure a lot more pain at this point than the American people who, have a president that essentially chose this war, whereas the Iranian regime are just trying to survive. So, I mean, I really do think that this is a standoff. It doesn't seem like Donald Trump is in a negotiating position, hearing from CENTCOM about particular military operations at play. But it doesn't seem like the Iranians are either. And as your previous speaker mentioned, I mean, this is just going to be devastating for the global economy.
The statement, by the way, we did not see the Supreme Leader on camera, as we know that he's been severely injured. The statement went on to say a new chapter for the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz is being written, will usher in comfort and progress for the benefit of all the region's nations. Natasha, does Iran believe that it wins this standoff in the Strait and will end up having some sort of tolling system in place when it's done?
I think that's the direction it wants to go in. I think it hasn't realized this leverage that it has until this war just 2 months ago. But I do think that the UAE, Israel, and the United States will do everything that it possibly can to ensure that that does not happen. There's others that are more in a negotiating stance, like Oman in the Gulf, but we are seeing a major divergence in interests there. That said, I mean, it would be hard for me to believe that the United States could allow that to go on. But I also think that we just need to get back to the negotiating table. If there could be some kind of way that the U.S. Stops its blockade, Iran agrees to send ships through the Strait of Hormuz just to get to a ceasefire, we could get to negotiations. I really don't see any other off ramp for this situation at the moment. But it's going to be really difficult for Iran to let go of this leverage in lieu of any kind of major new initiative, either on the diplomatic or the military front.
Well, so is it wise to think that a short and powerful wave of strikes, as it's being termed in reports here, would in fact impact the psychology in Iran to the point where we did draw them back to the negotiating table?
I mean, it's hard for me to assess what those targets are. We've already seen a lot of,
Yeah.
steel aluminum factories, bridges bombed out. It could just rise and, escalate the situation as well, because we've seen these kinds of attacks before, and it's just made Iran even more enraged and emboldened, at least the regime. So it's hard for me to believe that this could be a way of de-escalating the situation, or gaining some kind of trust, confidence building measures, leading up to some kind of negotiation. Because the reality is it's not just the negotiations in the next few days. It's going to be what Iran plans for its nuclear program for the next few years as well. And so if we get there through bombing of critical civilian infrastructure, I just don't see how we get to that more peaceful future.
One of the options being discussed, according to Axios, Natasha, would be the United States using the military and likely ground forces to open a portion of the strait, to occupy a portion of the strait and reopen it to commercial shipping. Would that work?
I mean, I guess the US military is putting it on the table as one that could work. I mean, the
Yeah.
other option was to secure somehow through a military operation, secure enriched uranium, which also sounds extremely risky. I mean, these
Yes.
are options out on the table. We do have the most, the United States has the most powerful military in the world, asking a lot of it these days. But I still think that there's a lot of mines within the Strait of Hormuz. This would be pretty costly as well. I mean, in terms of perhaps U.S. lives, but also in general. And I think for commercial, shipping companies, also this has to be factored into insurance and the rest of it. It's probably possible for, for certain countries within that area, but I think it's also, quite a risky maneuver for the long term.
Yeah. You mentioned this risky mission to potentially go in and unearth this highly enriched uranium, which would take some time and a lot of effort and quite a lot of force protection. The president had posted not that long ago, this is a week ago or something, that there was a deal, in fact, that the United States would take possession of what he calls the nuclear dust. Do you suspect that someone told him that, or is he projecting?
Well, I mean, we've heard two plans. We've heard the plan where, special forces go in and essentially take it.
Yeah.
And then we've also heard using bunker buster bombs and essentially entombing the enriched uranium.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, both of
But you think
of
Iran
those
ever
plans,
told us that they would give us the uranium, or are you skeptical of that?
I'm extremely skeptical of that, especially just, if we're listening to Iranian regime statements lately, it does not even appear that they want to let go of even their program at this point,
Right.
Let alone just to hand over enriched uranium. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few days, but I don't think it's a good sign for gasoline prices. I'll say that.